Hello, all of my wonderful Taurus friends, and welcome to your reading. This is going to be our July 2020 predictions video, and in this, we are going to dive in and see what the month of July has in store for you. Okay, so I have gone ahead and shuffled the cards. So we're going to actually start with your tarot cards, and then we will go through your oracle cards together. Okay, so this is for all of my Tauruses, whether you are a Taurus or you have Taurus in your chart, whether you are sun, moon, rising. So this is going to be relevant to you. Okay, so we're going to go ahead, jump right in. We're going to start with your tarot cards first. So the first card that we have is the Queen of Swords in reverse, the King of Wands, the Emperor, the Death card, and the Fool. Okay, so Taurus, what do we got going on here for the month of July? So I can definitely sense some change coming. Absolutely. Like that seems to be like the main theme here. Just to kind of let you know how I'm going to be reading this is I usually like to start kind of like in chronological order. So I usually start with like the beginning, middle, and end of the month. So that's how we're going to go ahead and do the reading. So as I mentioned, like the main theme of this, I feel, is some strong change here for you guys in the month of July. Okay, so let's kind of start here at the beginning of the month. So you guys have the Queen of Swords in reverse. So when the Queen of Swords is in reverse, this tells me that there is, something kind of weighing, I would say, kind of heavily on your mind at the moment, because the swords do deal with our, emotion, our thought process, our thinking. Sometimes this kind of brings in our emotions as well, even though the cups typically deal with our emotions. The swords really kind of deals with like overthinking, just kind of what's weighing on our mind. And that in turn can, kind of bring about those emotions as well. Okay. And when it's in the reverse, this really kind of tells me that you could be dealing with some sort of loss or separation, or something in which that may feel almost like out of your control, but it's really kind of weighing heavily on you at the moment. Okay, and for some of you, this might just be maybe what was needed, but obviously it doesn't mean that you're not giving it the time, or the whole thought process. Like I said, this is really weighing on you, but I feel like because you have the King of Wands here, that this is really kind of talking about you stepping into your own power, or kind of figuring out how you're going to move on from this loss, or how you're going to move on from severing this tie. Okay, because as I mentioned, the common theme here seems to be that of change, or like moving on. Okay, and if you are dealing with something, or a current like possible love situation, or if you're dealing with like a friendship that just, has kind of run its course, you don't really seem to be on the same page, you don't really seem to see eye to eye as much. There's just been a lot of arguments, or a lot of, misunderstanding, or just kind of back and forth. That's where, that Queen of Wands, or excuse me, Queen of Swords energy comes into play here. Now, for some of you, you might be kind of come off as maybe a little distant to others, maybe others that are close to you, because of the fact that this is weighing on you, or that you kind of just keep thinking about this. It's almost like you're feeling the energy of this negativity, or of this mindset that's just been kind of weighing on you. And I think maybe without even realizing, if you have others that are trying to offer comfort or offer support, you might come across maybe a little bit cold to them, or just not really willing to hear them out, because you're just trying to deal with everything that's going on. And again, understandable, but I think the main point here for the beginning of the month here with you guys is that you're just trying to navigate how you're going to move past this. Okay, so I sense this is why for a lot of you, this is where your thought process is kind of at. Okay, now what's interesting here is that we have the Emperor in the middle of the month. So again, as I mentioned, this is really all about you stepping back and regaining almost kind of like your true sense of self, your power, if you will, stepping back into your power. The Emperor is a very strong authoritative figure in the tarot deck, also known as like the father of tarot, if you will, or like the father card. But this is really kind of can also talk about just a person's own sense of authority or own sense of power. So I look at this as kind of like two different ways within this. Is that one, as I mentioned, it's kind of you stepping back, or not stepping back, but stepping into, your independence, your authenticity, kind of like reclaiming that. But this can also be indicating as to the other person in this situation that you're dealing with, whether it's a friend, whether it's a partner, them being possibly a little bit more controlling or just trying to like be authoritative, I guess, in your guys' relationship, like trying to call the shots or trying to like tell you what to do or trying to like, have an opinion about everything. It's almost like it was too much to bear. And this is why you're like, what, I can't do this anymore. I need to listen to myself. I need to kind of like regain my sense of independence here. And that's why I said for a lot of you, that's where that, Queen of Swords comes into play here, as far as like your sense of emotion, your sense of like just what's weighing on you, because this can really deal with like a separation or just kind of like walking away, moving on from something. Okay. Now, towards the end of the month, this I think is actually really great for you guys because we have the Death card and the Fool. Now, the Death card is actually really great because this is all about severing ties, endings and new beginnings. So it doesn't really mean like necessarily a literal death. It just, like I said, just means that of an ending. So if you notice the imagery here, there's a cord right there and it's about to be split. It's about to be broken and he's holding the sword about to sever the ties. Okay. And so I feel like for a lot of you, that's pretty much what this is going to feel like, just kind of parting ways. Okay. Just kind of, you're going to go your way, they're going to go their way. And it's, a time for a fresh start. It's a time for a new beginning, a time for you to just kind of reclaim, as I mentioned, your independence, your sense of self, just to kind of, feel like you again. Because for many of you, you might have not really felt like yourself in a long time, or just kind of lost yourself throughout this, relationship again, whether it's a friendship or a partnership. But I definitely feel like this has had, a strong sense of weighing on you, which has caused you to kind of get to this point. Okay. Now, what I love here about the Fool card is like, this doesn't mean that you're being a fool. Okay. It just really means that you're just willing to trust in the universe or kind of trust in your gut instinct that, whatever happens, happens. And I now am no longer going to worry. I'm no longer going to allow this to weigh on my mind. I'm not going to stress about it. I'm ready for this fresh new start. Okay. And that's where the Fool really kind of comes into play. So I definitely see like this transition for you guys. So beginning of the month, I feel like you guys are kind of dealing with possibly the aftermath. So some of you might have dealt with this, decision to part ways in June. And it's just kind of still maybe lingering as far as like on your mind at the beginning of the month. But I really see a lot of forward movement here for you guys. I don't really see a lot of like stagnant energy. If anything, I feel like it's more so you guys just trying to pick up the pieces and be like, okay, this is how I'm going to move on, or this is, what I'm going to do to get through this, if you will. Okay. So let's go ahead and take a look at your oracle cards. Maybe we can get a little bit more clarification. So we're going to start with your Moonology oracle. So the first one we have is New Moon. A new start is coming. Okay, absolutely. So as I mentioned, with the Death card there, this is definitely all about a new start, a new beginning for you guys. Okay. And this is one I think in which will really kind of help you step back into your true authentic self. Next, we have Full Moon in Scorpio. It's time to release negativity. Absolutely. So this energy, as I mentioned earlier, is definitely not a positive one. Especially if this person was someone who was more negative than positive. They always either felt like they brought you down, or you just felt like there was always some tension or something of that nature, like this is the time for you to, release yourself of that and to sever those ties, okay? All right, so let's see. The next cards that we have, these are the Magical Mermaids and Dolphins Oracle. So we have Stay Optimistic. So this says, your dreams are coming true. Don't quit right before the miracle occurs. Okay. So again, this kind of reminds me of the Fool card here a bit, just because it's all about being optimistic, kind of trusting in the universe, trusting in your gut, and your intuition, and that everything will work itself out. Okay. And then we have Consult an Expert. More information is needed. Contact someone with expertise in this area. Okay, so for some of you, this might be more of a difficult transition than others, and that's okay, especially if you are dealing with a relationship that has recently ended. If this was a long-term relationship, a marriage, I understand this can be a very challenging time for a lot of people. And sometimes just talking to someone else, whether it's a counselor, a therapist, psychologist, what have you, sometimes just talking to them just to kind of help you through this transition will be more beneficial for you, I think, in the long run. And it just might help give you a little bit of clarity that perhaps maybe you didn't have before. So that's definitely an option there for those of you who feel that you need it, okay? All right, so let's take a look here. What else we have? So we have authenticity, sovereignty, independence, and uniqueness. Yes. So I feel like this is pretty much like the Emperor and King of Wands energy, like just kind of stepping back, as I mentioned, into your power, like kind of really reclaiming your true authentic self, as I mentioned earlier. So this is really beautiful. So this is talking about you stepping back into that. And then we have waiting, alertness, preparation, and watchfulness. Okay, so there is going to be for sure, I think, a little bit of a waiting time for you guys just to kind of get to where you want to be. Obviously, no change happens, overnight necessarily. So this is going to be a really good time, I think, as you're going through this process, just to kind of wait. Don't rush into like maybe the next relationship, or don't rush into having a new best friend, or things like that. You really want to give yourself time to adjust. Okay. All right. So next we have sextile. When opportunity comes chirping, learn the song and sing along. Okay. So this is great. So this is just kind of like going with the flow, like as I mentioned with the Fool card there. So this is just, I think, another indicator that it's okay to just kind of go along with everything. You don't necessarily have to stop living your life just because you're going through this, this change. It's okay. You can, continue to do you and kind of rediscover who you are in that process. Next, we have alternative medicine. Expand your circle of healing modalities. Explore acupuncture, Ayurveda, I don't know how to say that, chakra balancing, or Reiki. Okay, so this also might be very helpful for some of you if you've considered trying any of these to kind of help you through this transition, especially if things have been weighing heavy on your mind. This might kind of help gain some clarity, some inner peace. Okay. And then we have Cardinal. You're going to make it after all. Embrace change and new beginnings. It's up to you to manifest your dreams. Absolutely. I think this is like a perfect like roundup of everything. Like you're going to make it. I know for some of you, it may not seem like that, especially if you are dealing with something that is more personal, that of a personal relationship. I understand like the last thing you even want to think about is moving on. But just knowing that you're going to make it and that you just want to embrace this new beginning, I look at that as a more positive indication for you guys. So that's really great. Okay. And then we have your soul's journey lesson cards. So we have loneliness. I know that I am never alone. Okay. So like I mentioned, I feel like this has to do a lot with those of you if you are really dealing with a separation. If you're dealing with, an ending of a relationship, you might feel alone at certain points, which is why, all of this would be weighing on your mind. I could completely understand that. But this is a good reminder that you're never alone. You do have people around you, people that you could confide in, other family members, friends, And even if you don't feel like you necessarily have that close knit of a circle, that's where I think that consultant expert card can come into play. That could be helpful as well, just talking to someone just to kind of help you feel heard, feel validated through this transitional process. Okay. We have grief. I understand that losing something is an opportunity to appreciate it. Absolutely. It's okay to grieve. It's okay to go through the emotions, but once you've gone, through that, that's also a good time to really look back and be like, I appreciate what I had with this person. It wasn't all bad, so that's a really good reminder there. And then we have judgment. I understand that everyone has their own unique path and challenges. Absolutely. Everyone does. Everyone goes through certain points and situations in their life. Everyone experiences some type of loss at some point or another in their lives. Doesn't mean anyone has it necessarily worse or better off than the other. This is just a good reminder, even when you're feeling or all up in your feelings, basically, just to kind of remind yourselves that, this is just your challenge, your current situation, but you will be able to get through this. Okay. And I feel like for a lot of you, this is going to be a very positive outcome for you in the end. Okay. So for your last two oracle cards, we have Dive. You don't find pearls on the seashore. Okay, so this is all about you kind of taking that leap of faith, really allowing yourself to trust your intuition, just to kind of go for it, let go. If you kind of stay and waver back and forth, that's where you're going to continue to go through this grief process more and more. If you want to be able to move past that and you feel that you're ready to, definitely take that leap, okay? And then we have patience. The tide will come in when it's ready. Okay. So again, just as a reminder, this doesn't mean you have to just jump right into the next thing. You don't have to, rush anything, just do everything when you feel ready. Okay, Taurus, this is your time. You're going through a change. You're going through a transition. Nothing has to be rushed here. Okay. So if anything, take your time, take as much time as you need. And when you're ready, that's when you can kind of step in and move forward in the direction that you want. Okay. So Taurus, that was your reading. Definitely let me know if this resonated with you. I would love to hear from you guys in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and consider giving it a thumbs up. It will truly help out the channel. I want to thank you guys so much for watching today's video, and I will see you on my next one. Bye.